Hey there, welcome to the Oracle report for the month of August 2025. So glad you could join us. Happy to have you if it's your first time, and I hope you enjoy everything that is shared today and it supports you. And if you're returning, thanks for coming back. So, I come on here at the beginning of every month to share different collective wisdoms and messages that I've gathered throughout the month. Some have come forth through readings. There's oftentimes themes that are present that have wisdoms and messages for us all moving forward into the future. And some might come from channelings or dreams, and once in a while, astrology. So I pull all these together, and the purpose is to support you in this upcoming month. So you have an idea in the highest way to be, to move in your life and in your relationship with life so that you experience the greatest amount of alignment, of love, of truth, and fulfillment. Um, so because there are collective messages, they're going to apply to you, apply to us all in different ways. And sometimes they're quite literal and they might be really present in your life. And other times they might not be literal. It could be like a really creative connection. So be open to how that might drop in for you and what might be there for you. Sometimes I see these messages as kind of like a disco ball or something with many sides and facets. And it's the same core message, but we can even receive different facets of that message that apply to us. Or maybe just, one side applies to us and another side applies to someone else. It's really neat because the information that comes through, the wisdom that comes forward is multidimensional. It's not entirely material, nonlinear. It's from spirit where there are no limits. So we can receive different dimensions of the message. So I say that to help you receive what's really right for you to receive today. Um, yeah, and I would say as you listen, coming from your heart, receiving what works for you, letting go of what doesn't. Um, and for those who are able to join us live, so the Oracle report is offered on Sacred Lights every month live, and you can join us. And at the end of the Oracle report, I offer free mini readings. Um, The recording is also offered on YouTube. Maybe you're watching this from there. Okay. So let's get started. So first I'd like to show you the deck that we'll be working with today. So each month I pull a card from a deck that I select, and this is offering us just kind of a boost of understanding and collective wisdom. I'll read a bit of that card here today, and then I'll post a picture with the full description in the Sacred Lights platform. So today we'll be pulling from the Lightworker Oracle. It's an Alana Fairchild deck. She's wonderful. So let's start with that. My favorite thing about the cards is, well, maybe it's not my favorite, but how often they line up so well with what's already coming through. And they kind of provide this overall bigger picture like, oh, yeah, I got that piece of my intuition and that piece, but I hadn't really seen it in that way. And it really helps to kind of build out that full picture and make things more clear. And it's cool validation too, a lot of the times. And they might give you some new angles that you don't quite see. And I feel like you can go deeper and deeper into the cards if you want to. Um, Okay. So we've got divine grace, the law of efficiency. Lovely. Okay. So let's read a bit of this before we move on to the messages. Right. Divine grace, the law of efficiency. It is time your life become easier. Sounds good. It is time for you to walk the way of divine grace with trust, simplicity, and acceptance. You do not have to try to make things happen. You can gracefully act without attachment and trust that all will be as it is meant to be. Surrender your struggles now as you allow life to serve you with love and kindness. This is the most efficient use of your energy and will lead to the best results. The law of efficiency encourages us to work smarter rather than always working harder. It is like learning to allow a wave to carry you to shore rather than swimming the entire way with your own efforts alone or even against the current, which would make the journey even harder. It is like planting a seed at the right time so nature will help it bloom in the spring rather than planting it during the dead of winter when it takes a lot of effort to keep it alive. And even then, it may not survive. This is the intelligence of the law of efficiency and divine grace at work. To hitch your wagon to the universe in this way, you need to learn to listen. This means tuning in to what feels right or wrong at any given time. Sometimes you will want to push forward, yet your intuitive knowing will guide you to rest. Sometimes you'll want to hide from a challenge, and yet you know in your bones it is time to step up and shine with boldness, despite the fear you may feel. Okay, so I'm going to pause there and then I will gladly share. There's quite a bit more here and even a invocation at the end. So I will share all of that in the Sacred Lights platform if you want to dive a little deeper into that card. And I love how that card seems to connect to a few of the messages that came forward. Grace was a really powerful word this month, as well as simplicity and acceptance and efficiency actually has come forward in a few readings, but it wasn't enough that I had decided to put it into the messages today. But I'll note that because there does seem to be something to that, and it does connect to one of the messages about flow that was coming through. And really, if we're working in a way that's like in alignment in the flow, then it's the most efficient for our energy and for our growth and for us being in highest service and our fullness and our wholeness in each moment. Okay, but I'll say a little bit more about that in a moment. Let's start here. All right. So this first message that was coming through is kind of interesting. This is about places. And the basic message was talking about us traveling to different places and how in the month of August, maybe there's going to be a lot of folks on vacations or traveling to different areas. And there was a reminder that was coming in around this travel or around this going to new places. And this reminder was ultimately, we don't find ourselves out there. Um, and not to say that it's not excellent for our mental health, our emotional health, our spiritual health, our physical health, our health on every level to travel and to have novelty, new experiences, literally when we're in a new location that we've, especially if we've never been there, but even if we have, but haven't been there often, it starts to affect our brain pretty quickly because our brain makes almost these like maps of reality. And when that shifts on the outside, there are so many potential health benefits, uh, gifts and ways that you can work with that experience that can help realign you. That's why a lot of times you come back from vacation, it's like, I feel like myself again. I feel refreshed. Isn't that this is supposed to be like this all the time? So that's really great and important. And it seemed like what wanted to be said, what they wanted to share, was an addendum to that. Like, yes, do all that, and remember that it's not really the place so much as your relationship with it. And it's also really important to give yourself time to go within. Um, because when we fall out of balance and always looking outside of ourselves to find our center, our peace, our harmony, our alignment, um, then yeah, things get lopsided. So our energy is more going out, and we forget that actually it's everything is within already. I'm just in relationship with the outside forces, and we might lose our alignment because we've kind of forgotten ourselves as co-creators. We've forgotten the magic that moves through us, that's guiding us, rather than just like kind of objective choices. Um, okay. So I would say a way to work with that to help anchor it for the month of August is balancing your time out in the world with enough downtime and just like quiet, peaceful, um, like time in nature. That's what I would do. But whatever works for you, whatever brings you into that kind of quiet spaciousness. And that's another thing that's come up in a few ways, is creating spaciousness for yourself. Whereas if we're lopsided and always focused on external and doing, um, we can start to fall out of alignment with that. So it's like the create a little bit of time for that spaciousness, meditation, peace, time in nature, just breathing, just being, to help keep that in balance for you. And this also connects to the energy of intensity and overwhelm. That is another topic of what we're working with in August. And we have been working with certain levels of intensity and overwhelm for a while. You might have felt like you have just been going nonstop. I know I have. And I know a lot of folks have as well. But this is one way that energy can present. It's just feeling like, okay, I'm going, going, going. It's kind of overwhelming. Um, and another message that's come up around this overwhelm, around this intensity, is that essentially the only way to, or it's rest is not the only way to work with it or respond to that. Sometimes we can't cut things out of our schedule, and we're not able to find as much time as we need to rest, or maybe we have to show up in that way where we're juggling a lot of different things and needing to show up to all these different commitments or responsibilities. Sometimes we can cut those things out, and sometimes we can decide not to set off certain projects in the beginning, with like better foresight and planning of our own energy. But also there are times when that happens, and with the intensity of the transformations and the spiritual growth and awakening that's happening in the world, and kind of the height of these energies building in and around us, the only it's not the only way to work with it to kind of cut out things, or rest, or just pull away or do less. So it's going to be different for everyone. But the question was like, how can we find spaciousness with this intensity? How can we find our alignment with it and work with it in a different way than we have? So we don't kind of fold with the intensity and the overwhelm, but we're welcoming it and learning how to channel it through us in a really different way and not a detrimental way. Um, this might mean finding time to breathe. Most of us have a few minutes to take a few deep breaths and help ourselves to come back to, I'm okay. I can work with this. I can work with the intensity and the overwhelm, and I trust myself to navigate and flow and direct and co-create with this and how it wants to move through me. Uh, okay. Right. I think I'll revisit that in a little bit, but I want to touch on this next message. And this next message was referencing how the past is resurfacing quite a bit in the month of August, especially at the beginning of August. And there's a theme kind of woven into this with the intensity. Um, and ultimately, it leads us to a place of greater alignment. However, there are a couple of potential traps or places we can get caught up with the flow of transformation as it's happening through August. And when it's in relationship to the past, one of these places that we can get caught is in attachment. And the guides brought forth the word attachment repeatedly as something for us to keep our eyes on. How am I attaching myself to the past? So the past isn't coming back up, it's not resurfacing for us to stay attached to. You might see it resurfacing in terms of old relationships, old ideas or visions, dreams or emotions, something from the past that was maybe important to you, especially if it touched your heart. They were saying. So it could show up in any one of those areas or somewhere else. And one piece to remember about this as well is that what was heart touching about this relationship or this idea uh, is real. There's a real love inside that. However, the moment for alignment is in the past. And it's important to recognize that that love exists no matter what. And it moves and it transforms us and it comes through us in a new way over time. And right now, it's not for us to go back to that to find the love. We need to instead honor it, listen, listen to it, listen to what might be coming forward to help you, and celebrate. Yeah, celebrate your journey through that time. So maybe you found that you've had a lot of strength through whatever this is. And it's not coming back because, say, you have to do that idea or you have to go back into this relationship. Maybe there are a few things to reconcile, but the guides are very clear. It's like we're not going back. Everyone's going forward. You're being brought back to these things, or these things are resurfacing to help you actually release the past and release attachments. And you might be releasing things that you're not even aware of. So this is something else to be mindful of. Say you feel it's out of proportion what you're feeling like you're releasing and what you see is being released. Like, okay, well, maybe I'm releasing my attachment to this person. And actually, it feels a lot more intense than I think that it should. It feels disproportionate to what I know about the situation or the person. There might be some old karmic energy there, um, or a lot more going on that you don't fully have in your consciousness. And this is good because this gives us an opportunity to kind of, with that intensity, let more go. that we might not have access to. So don't overthink it. Be aware of what does come into your awareness to work with, but understand this is a bigger energy of release for everyone. Okay. Okay, so another suggestion with this release, in addition to giving yourself spaciousness, which was a really key word, like how can I create spaciousness around this? Especially because they talk about this being a bit emotionally charged, it can be easy for us to go back to attachment, and we get very unclear when we're that close, or we're just kind of like going like back to the thing. Um, so when we give ourselves spaciousness, we actually create a bit of space to see more clearly. It's like we're backing up from the issue a little bit and taking a bit more of a bird's eye view. The the other piece that they mentioned is patience. So growth, and I'll touch on this again, but growth, especially spiritual growth. So when we think of ourselves as spirits, spirit is the non-physical, the non-linear, that extra dimensional. So there's not quite limits there as there is here. There's structure and there's law, but not quite the limits. So there's a lot more capacity than we have here in our physical body. And with that, um, our spiritual growth is also nonlinear, meaning it could be going in like different directions. It's extra dimensional. It's not happening in this like one step, two step, three step, four step. Part of our being as we're humans does function like that. So our humanity, and you'll know in your life that sometimes I have a goal and I take one step and then another and then another and then we're good. We got there. And it's not always that simple because there is the energy of spirit moving through all of life. So we're working with that as well, which is coming from the extra dimensional. And this also connects to cycles and rhythms and spiraling growth rather than the linear growth. Okay, so with that, understand that your growth, you're moving from the past, letting go of the past, it's not always like wrapped up in a nice neat bow. Okay, I dealt with this, I dealt with that, and now we're moving on. It's usually more like overlapping, uh all these things happening at once. We're extra dimensional beings. We have all these different facets to us, and a lot of different things are working at once, and we're relating to the world and these cosmic energies. And they're things aren't always entirely wrapped up and complete from our past. So we do one layer of it, and then we might have another layer of it. And that's part of what's happening with the past coming back to us now. And one thing to remember, it's not necessarily a go back to the past. And actually, we can't with some of the energies that are coming in. It's like the door has been closed. Things are really changed now. Even if we still have that love for whatever it was. Okay. So again, the message was spaciousness, patience with yourself. We want to be patient because we're in a non-linear process, and be cautious about judgment and lean more into acceptance, into trust, into simplicity. Um, and also here, taking time to celebrate what has been, celebrate the way that love has chosen to move through you, the way that you have chosen to embody love and truth in your life, and maybe the ways that you have learned from falling on your face, or the beautiful gifts that you've received from the challenges that you've walked through. Maybe it's more resilience. Find something to honor what was. because that is a really important piece right now with allowing it to move forward, and an important piece of why it's coming back. What have you gained? How are you stronger? How are you more resilient? Okay. All right. So, there's a couple pieces that connect to this that I'd like to share next. One is about presence. And again, we're doing a lot of past revisiting again, especially at the beginning of the month. And coming to presence as much as we can is going to help us work with it. We can still look back, we can still kind of find our clarity about what was. We have a little bit of more spaciousness from the past now, so it is easier to kind of redirect things and coming into that place of presence to help us do that. Remembering you're here now, not in the past. Things have changed. Things are going to continue to change, and that's great. It's good. It's a good thing. Um, there's also in August, especially towards the middle, I was getting, but it could come at any time. There is like a coming to a head. This energy of intensity and overwhelm will probably be expressed somehow. Things are maybe going to like blow up, be chaotic. Something's going to happen that is really inciting permanent change to help us not get attached to the past. So during great change and upheaval, it also can be tempting to go back to the past or go to the future because it feels unstable sometimes. And there's this reminder you, you don't live there, you live here, you live in the present, and you can work with these intensities for good, for your benefit. You don't need to be afraid of them. Trust your power and your intuition as you work with them and find your right way to flow with and direct these intense energies coming forward. So, I want to explain just a little bit more about this coming to a head. When I see this energetically, it seems a bit like a volcano or a pimple, was the way I've heard it described by another as well, which makes sense in a few ways. So there is this buildup of energy that's been happening for quite a while, and there needs to be a release. And when this buildup, like when the volcano first explodes, it can seem scary, it can seem chaotic, it can throw us out of the present moment. It can take us out of our alignment and our trust and our ability to work with these great changes and upheavals and the explosions. Um, there's a lot of feelings that can come forward. Um, Fast change, especially, which this type of energy usually signifies, it can bring up, it's like we could be in shock of it and we could be trying to process, and there could be some grief attached to this. And there's a whole range, and we all don't respond the same, but there are feelings there typically. And some of us might even disassociate from those feelings because it's a lot. So part of the message this month is you can actually work with that intensity. You can show up to it. You have the power, and ask your guides for support to show up in the way that's in most alignment for you, to um, give help you find the time for the spaciousness, the presence, the simplicity, the acceptance, the trust, the way to navigate it all so that you can work with that intensity, because it is actually meant to serve you. It's not chaos that's like ruining your life or taking something away. That's not the point, even though we'll have feelings that are like, that's what it is. It's actually meant to help us, to serve us. Again, releasing. We're releasing something in the past. We're releasing things that we don't need, just like when the pimple pops. You're letting go of old gunk, and we want to bless and honor what's going, and trust what we're walking into. And again, we're in the cyclical growth. So we don't exactly know what we're going into, and it's complex, and it's not okay, past is neatly done and we're going on. There's a lot to work with from both the past and the future, and staying in the present is what helps us do that. Staying in our alignment, and especially this month, working with patience and trust and simplicity, slowing things down a bit inside yourself. You can't slow them down in the world. These changes, the upheavals, things that are moving really quickly, work with them, honor them, let them do what they need to do. And you just find your own inner sanctuary, your own inner peace and alignment. Let's see, was there anything else with that? Okay, yeah, one extra word I want to share is the word relief. That was coming up a lot. So as this volcano, as this energy of upheaval and fast change comes, it might not always register as a great thing to start, but it is. We're going to be given so many gifts, and the first one that you can try to recognize is the energy of relief and freedom. And again, we're not bypassing the feelings that we might have going along with it. There might be some grief as well, but anchoring the trust in what's coming, what you're stepping into, knowing, like looking forward to with excitement that freedom, looking out for it, and opening yourself up to receive it when you start to notice the relief, the freedom aspect. This helps us to stay in alignment and to step forward in a way where we're not getting attached to the past. All righty. Okay. And yes, this is another piece that's kind of building off of this whole flow of messages coming forward. And this came through as be cautious of attachment to righteous history, personally and collectively. I thought this was so interesting. So this could be like actual history as we think of it, what was written in the history books, what we were taught, especially about, they said this month, religion and our family history and politics. Those three were extra strong. So looking at, and what are we attached to? Like, what do we believe is true about the past? And is there a way to give that some spaciousness so it doesn't become that righteous energy, which sometimes when we feel righteous, things actually are so. And then other times we could be getting rigid in our understanding of truth. And then truth is, as I see it, a living force. It's not an absolute kind of objective, it only exists here, as I understand it. It's in motion. And that doesn't necessarily mean that we don't have truths in the world that are static or solid. However, as our consciousness evolves, our relationship with this energy of truth also evolves. And this can shift our perspective of the past. So this can shift our perspective of just our personal past and also the collective past, the history. So the evolution of humanity and also our own lives. So there's a gift being offered this month. And the way not to work with it is to be attached to absolutely what you think is right about your own or collective history. But the way to receive the new gift is to be open to how your perspective has evolved, what new information has come in, how you see things now. Because there has been an evolution and there is new information out there in some way about your own life and about human and the history of the earth and of life. And this is helping us come greater into ourselves, into a deeper expression or relationship with truth. So this is really awesome. um, so cautious of attachment to righteous history, personally and collectively. So have your eyes open to how that could play out for you or how it could play out for others, and thus how you want to relate to it. So maybe you have accepted these pieces of new information that change your perspective on history, but another person hasn't. And maybe that really frustrates you or makes you angry and you want to react to that. So, in that reaction, sometimes we actually can get back into this vibration of the righteous history where it's not actually helping the evolution. So that's part of what to watch out to. It's not just only in ourselves, but in how we relate to others so that we're actually forwarding folks. We're actually allowing ourselves to be in this new relationship with truth, and we're actually inviting others into it. And there are certainly things that we might want to share with others. Maybe we have pieces of information, changes that have happened, new information that's come forward in science and history and discovery, or new information that's come forward in ourselves and our families. And we might need to share that. But if we share it in a way where we're just like, I'm right, oftentimes that breeds this energy of actually like resistance that can keep both parties down. But there is a way to work with it that feels more centered, more aligned, more trusting, and acceptance is one of the medicines and one of the resources or energies that we can work with to help with this as well. So like for myself, I would think other people have their own path, and when it's right for them to absorb this information, let them, and let me be clear in what I'm supposed to share or not for their highest good and for my own highest good. It might not be for my highest good to engage with someone who is really stuck in a place of righteousness or a certain level of relationship with the truth that maybe it brings me down a little bit or just kind of throws me off. But then maybe there's someone who is very ready to hear some piece of information that I have. And that's great. Then you share it. But being attached to their choice about it would be non acceptance. Being attached to needing to fix or change or get them to a new place, also non acceptance. And this kind of can drag everybody down. So, this is part of what you want to be cautious of. Is it arising in you? Is it arising in others? How can I work with it in a different way so I'm not getting that dragged down? And I'm really able to accept the gifts that are coming forward right now in terms of reconciling the past and our new relationship with history and truth or herstory. Okay. Okay. So this is kind of the bow on the end here. there is a wave of divine grace, and this lined up really nicely to the card, which was divine grace, the law of efficiency. And the word grace has been coming through quite a lot for August. And essentially, through this revisiting the past towards the beginning, especially of August, through the upheaval energy, the changes that are permanent that we can't undo, through the relief that's coming and the freedom, then we have an experience of this wave of divine grace coming to us, this flow. Um, and actually, the energy of grace is with us always first and throughout the entire month. However, we'll be more aware of it after we get through the revisiting the past and not getting too attached to, say, the righteous history piece, or getting too attached to old relationships, old ideas, old dreams that we had. After we work on that, after we show up in presence and acceptance and simplicity, and we're able to work with intensity, the upheaval and overwhelm in a higher way. We process through whatever emotions are there. We trust that it's for our highest, and we show up to working with it and listening to what is our highest. Then we're more able to experience this wave of divine grace. But it has been there the whole time, and it's almost the whole purpose. And but there's a special moment through these types of shifts where we are able to experience it at a heightened level, divine grace. And this is part of, like, yeah, the cycle that's happening right now. And alongside the word grace came in the word flow. So we are learning to work with life differently. We have come to a new evolution of the turn of the spiral of human, the growth in human consciousness and our spiritual growth. So again, the powers to kind of work with, the things to call upon and cultivate in our mind, our heart, ourselves, our days, our energy field is simplicity, acceptance, and trust. So ultimately, what this wave of grace is doing is it's leading us to spiritual closure. We are ending karmic cycles at a greater capacity this month, at a heightened number. And it might not just be one karmic cycle again, and we might not be aware again of everything that we are releasing, that we're allowing ourselves to be free from. And when we work with it, we can actually release more. So this is kind of the purpose. We're getting spiritual closure through ending karmic cycles, through we might be ending just different stubborn patterns, releasing old emotional and psychological burdens that we've carried. And what keeps coming back is like attachment, things that we were attached to that just are no longer in service for us to be attached to. And we can't go back to being attached to them. But it can just be tricky, you know, and sometimes as we are moving in this in between, in this multi-dimensional spiritual growth process, we're gonna like lean back, we'll lean forward, we'll fall here, there, up, down, and that's normal. That's part of the process. So you want to be gentle and kind to yourself. Just give yourself space and trust the flow. Trust that grace is guiding you through all of it. You don't have to have everything entirely figured out. You just show up and do your best and love yourself through it all. Um, Okay. And this I might have said in past months. This is pretty cool too. That there are specifically some pieces of our history connected to Egypt that might be resurfacing for us, and that we are able to grow and heal at a new level with. And I mean, that could be different for everybody, but I thought that was pretty cool. So in August, there you might get some information, maybe like a past life, or maybe it's some kind of connection, some draw that you've had to a specific temple in Egypt, or a deity, or a way of being that just keeps coming, keeps flashing to you. This would be important. This would be something that you are working on, that you are healing, that you are bringing spiritual closure to. And again, remembering we are not meant to go back. We're not supposed to like go back to Egypt, even though we might have had, I don't know, some love there for what was held in that time that most of us associate with. We might have some desire to bring pieces of it back, to resurrect it, but we're not going back. We are in a fresh new place, and we can bring closure to what was and carry forward. And again, grace is our guide in this process, whatever needs to be carried forward from the past. And again, woven in is this relationship with history. It might not be exactly what you think it is. So allow your mind to open, just some spaciousness there. Maybe it's not exactly as I think. Let me feel my way through this a little bit more intuitively. Let grace guide me. All right. Oh, and the other thing is it may not feel so graceful, this uh process that's happening this month, the energy that's coming through this month. And again, they want to share, the guys are like, that's okay. It's a little bit messy. Remember, it's just non-linear, because it's like that's the nature of what's going on here. We're working on many different levels. We are not just humans with a brain and emotions, and a body and a mind. We are these extra dimensional beings. We have so many facets to us, and we are working on a lot of levels. You might be working a lot in your dreams. That's definitely a time where we can do some of that deeper work. Um, but honoring that is going on. It's not just this linear process, and in that, it often doesn't feel as graceful. But leaning back into trust, leaning back into simplicity, leaning back into acceptance, honoring the cycles, working with the intensity, working with the cycles. I think, yeah, the card was talking about pushing forward at times when you're feeling like you need to rest, or hiding from a challenge when you know you have to step up to it. So this aligns with like the flow and cycles. So how can we work with knowing when it's personally right for us to rest, or when it's right for us to show up, or take an action, or how we are meant to show up, how we are meant to be, finding that flow. It's grace that aligns us to that flow. And this is something that's extra important this month. And don't let your head take you too far if you notice anything that feels messy or difficult to deal with, and telling you you're way off track. Because it's one of the things it can do, is it's trying to help you and keep you safe and help you stay on track. Be like, you're not doing it right, or oh no, we are getting attached to the past, or this or that or the other thing. And it just kind of pulls you down. So we want to lean instead into, I trust grace to guide me. And I accept I accept my power. I accept my ability to co-create with these energies that are here actually to support me. And I accept my intuition and I listen to it. I listen to what is highest for me, and I make space for that with patience and trust to evolve and bloom through me. Okay, see if I missed anything here. Oh, I think that's good. That is the gist of it. So, revisiting the past, blessing the past, honoring it, listening to what the ghosts of the past want to tell you, showing up to that with presence and trust, being open to new versions of personal or collective history. Oh, one more piece. So, one thing that was said was celebrate aspects of attachment. So, things, especially from your past or ways that you've decided to, okay, I'm going to be attached to this thing. This is how I'm going to work with it. Celebrate the aspects of that attachment that have brought you closer to truth and love. But remembering that it's not the attachment that brought you closer to truth and love. It's you that did and your growth in that process. And that's one way that helps us actually to release the past and to not get stuck in attachment. Because we can see it as like, oh, being attached to this is what brought me the love and the truth that I'm seeking. This is what brought me to wholeness. Like, no, that was just the way that it was moving at the time. Okay. Yeah. So we have that. We have things coming to a head in the month of August, especially towards the middle of the month. Change, fast change, upheavals, shifting that provides us with relief. We are guided by grace the whole way, leaning into flowing with the forces that are here for your highest good and for the highest good. Finding spiritual closure, releasing old karmic patterns, old emotional and psychological energy, and honoring cycles, working with the cycles. Okay, so I will again post this card in Mighty Networks platform. Come take a look at it. Make a comment. Let me know how things landed with you. If there's anything that you noticed that came up, or if you have anything to add, I love to hear from you. So feel free to reach out there or through social media. I'm at Angela Soul Rose. Always like to hear how these messages land and asking that they are all offered in highest service to you, to your family, to your friends, to your community, to create alignment, blessings, greater fulfillment, more love, more truth. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you have a beautiful August. See you next month.